Dog back down by the river. It's another beautiful spring day. One of the signs of spring that I enjoy seeing so much are the primroses. When the primroses appear, I know that spring's on its way. It was one of the wonderful experiences and on the farm. When we saw the primroses, we knew that it wouldn't be long before the cows were out. It was a sign of spring. If we look around us and open our eyes and look carefully, then there are always lots of signs around us. And if we just look here in the river, we see that it's not rained for a while and the river's quite low, and there's stumps from an old bridge. I've not been down this part of the river before. And then across the other side there's a wall from an old building. This was a very heavily industrialised part of Swansea. At one time down by the river there were many factories, and coal and all kinds of things were travelled up and down from this area. The Bible tells us on a day, today is a day for fools, but the Bible tells us a fool is not someone who's duped by a clever plan, but someone who refuses to see the signs that are clear and obvious. So there's a reading like Romans chapter 1. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified him or gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. And although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man and birds and animals and reptiles. And that verse tells us that looking around us at creation, looking round us at the beauty of creation, we see something of the glory and majesty of God. We see something of his power and something of his glory. But we've exchanged it. We've exchanged it for things of our own hearts that we can control. We're in a very strange time, aren't we? But there are signs there, and signs to be read. And even in a time like this, a time of pandemic, there are signs to be read. And first, if we have a little thing, first of all, we found out that all humans are the same. Actually, under the skin, we're all the same. It doesn't matter if we're Asian, or if we're American, or if we're European, or if we're African. We're all vulnerable to this little disease, this virus. We're all also frail, and we also learn that it doesn't matter if we're rich or poor, if we're young or old, we're frail. We could be called by God to give an account for our lives at any moment. We also see that people are looking for the answers, especially in the UK, purely in science and in the adjustment of behaviours, but very few are calling for prayer, asking us to pray to God and to call upon him and upon his name. And this also is a sign. It's a sign of our day, and it's a sign of our society. And sometimes we're sucked into it. Let us not be slow to pray. Let us not be slow to give God the glory and the honour that is due to his name. Let us not be slow to ask him for mercy and grace in a day like this. Well, for me and the hairy one down by the riverbank, have a good day. May God bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you and give you peace.